Put him down. Put him down. I'm not looking up.
3, 2,
And welcome back to Agony of Positivity podcast. I am Ross, and pretty much as always, joined by...
Oh, sorry. I was looking at Sammy's page of the damaged TNT belt, and Miro's magnificent body distracted me. So
it's understandable. He's a handsome man.
Yeah.
So how has your week been?
How has my week been? It has been okay. I guess I don't really... Nothing bad happened, so...
That's good.
But nothing good happened either, so, I mean...
I'm somewhere in the middle, because last day of school. So, and again, I do like custodial stuff for school. And so here's what happens. Have you ever been driving down the street and... You know, like if you're going, because you've lived in areas that aren't that great, and so have I. So people might be familiar with this. There's like the slumlord landlord that, you know, once every 3 months there's a particular apartment building that they own, and all the stuff has been vomited from inside the house to the side of the street, and you can tell it was somebody who was completely kicked out.
Yeah.
So in schools, like the kids never see this, but that's basically what happens is all the teachers evict every item in their room and just set it in the hallway, and then you spend 2 days throwing it all away.
That's what my wife just said that she did.
Yeah, I mean there's not a better way to do it, other than there are a lot of teachers that, and this includes math teachers, that teach geometry, so they should know shapes. That they will take a bunch of square, pointy items and shove them into cylinder-shaped trash cans that then destroy the trash bag that you literally can't do anything without like doing it by hand. When there's a giant trash can sitting right next to it. So that's
that's just dumb teachers.
Yeah, I mean, that's my opinion of it. But again, from their side, it's like, I gotta get rid of this. All right, that's what the janitors are here for. So, I mean, it only lasts like 2 days, and there's not a lot else to do, so it's not that bad. But it's just like, do you not know how to use a trash can? Or there's an empty trash can right here, and this thing is like you jumped up and down on it. Why? But
I agree.
Let's see here. So we got pretty much wrestling this week for sure, and I don't know if we're going to get into anything else. So show notes will have had that, so listening to this right now, you know the future that me and Saul do not. Think about that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So here we go. We're going to do a bumper.
I don't know what the hell's going on here, folks. Looks like he's just wearing blue.
This is a revolution.
All right. So we got, from last night, before we get to AEW stuff, Usos have captured all the tag team title belts except for the vacant women's championship belts.
Yeah, heard about that.
You think they'll go for those? That'd be funny.
Why not?
Just
unify everything.
They sign up for the tournament. Like, wait a minute here.
It was funny that WWE made those belts, and then they, like, I think literally like a month later, it might have been a month, they fired all their women.
Yeah, you're talking about the women tag belts?
Yeah.
Well, so, and I kind of remember from the time, but not exactly, but it felt like they made the women tag belts, and they kind of did WWE stuff with tag teams, but they also decided to make NXT tag belts when they could have just had the women's tag team travel around, like show to show, which I get that wouldn't be how the other belts all function, but it would have made sense for that. And then, like you were saying, they started just releasing people. And it was like, okay, whatever. Like, I think I saw someone tweeted last night that there's going to be a tag tournament for the vacant women's belts. There are currently 2 active teams. So, I don't know if they're just going to create teams out of thin air.
Yeah.
Or if they're just going to have to be like, well, we only have 2 actual tag teams, so these guys are going to fight. Like, what are you doing?
Well, I read that, people on the internet saying that WWE's sexist because they don't want women tag team wrestling. I'm thinking they just don't like tag teams.
Yeah.
I 100%. I believe that's why they made the Usos merge the belts, because they don't want to deal with 2 tag belts floating around.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything about that is not that there's not potentially sexism there, but if it came to a tag team, they, like you said, they don't. Tag team wrestling is not a priority to them,
and it never has been. I mean, even back in the day, they don't
there was
care
a
about
period where they had, and this would be my guess, they had Heart Foundation, Legion of Doom, Demolition, the Rockers, Powers of Pain. Those were pretty solid tag teams. And then, Heenan family would, team up. Like, you had Haku and Andre and all that.
Yeah.
But around that time, you also had Bret Hart become a singles guy.
Yep.
Shawn Michaels became a single guy. You had a couple, breakout stars out of tag teams. And I'm sure if it wasn't already at that point, because, there's interviews where people are like, well, Vince looked at it as, why would I pay 2 guys when I could just pay 1 guy if they're, a big draw? And so it's basically the fact that they have any tag teams that have lasted as long as they have currently is actually outside the norm. If you look at the entirety of a 20 or 30 year history, because they just don't care.
No,
there was a period where they'd break up the Hardy, because Jeff was the bigger star out of the Hardy Boys, and they would go at it oh yeah, we got the Hardy Boys. All right, that's over. Back to Jeff. Matt, go do whatever you do.
Yeah.
Because there was Dudley's, Edge, Christian, and the Hardys, and then you had the APA, that little period. But that was only that was a short period of time, really.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I never. It's always funny when I've read the dirt sheets there saying that they're interested in FTR. I was like, for what? FTR's a tag team. I mean, we're gonna have them wrestling the Usos every week.
And they already did the thing where they signed them, or they re-signed, because I guess they told them there'd be a bigger focus on tag team wrestling or whatever, and then there clearly wasn't. Sure. So why, if they care, not to say that there's not an amount of money where it's well, we are set up, and so are our kids and grandkids. They will not have to worry that they accept that, but I just don't see them doing that.
If I was FTR and I got all the belts that I wanted, if I still wanted the New Japan belts, or the NWA belts, I would get those. And if I didn't care about any other belts anymore, then I would go back to WWE and just get a lot of money.
You accomplished whatever it is you wanted to.
Yeah, because I'd be like, well, I know, their word to me is very
worthless.
Very man. Yes, their word to me is like Putin saying he won't invade me.
Yes.
So.
Technically, that was just a military operation, I believe. There was no invasion. I think it's the official statement on that one.
Yeah. Stealing dishwashers and everything. It's funny. I read something, and this is going off the rails here, but it made me laugh, because I guess Putin in the news said he's going to start using lasers
I
from his
saw
satellites.
something about that.
Well, this one guy wrote in the comments, like, dude, you're stealing washing machines for their microchips. Don't make us believe that you have lasers. Come on now.
It is. I'm not a fan of the foreigner hill gimmick.
Yeah.
But it is unfortunate that WWE, because I could see them doing it for sure, didn't create like a completely incompetent Russian character.
Yeah.
To poke fun, because I mean, you got to assume that things have not gone Russia's way. But in the past, we would have had that, or there would have just been like rolled Nikolai Volkov out again or something.
Yes.
Or like, I can't believe we let Rusev get away. Where is he?
We could be eating this up right now.
What about this Miro guy? He's like a dead ringer for Miro.
Yes. Yeah.
Or for Rusev. That'd be funny.
Like Vince, Bulgaria is nowhere near. It was at one point. Okay, whatever.
I mean, he was a decorated hero of the Russian Federation. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we mentioned the tag belts, but so I guess the big WWE story of the week was Sasha and Naomi walked out during the show, pretty much like right as it started. It sounded like over not being happy about. It sounds like the creative.
So you said that this is a big story of the week. I just found out about it yesterday.
Really?
So,
yes. I mean, I follow like some of the wrestling news stuff.
Yeah.
Mostly like Fightful. Is where a lot of this, because they seem to be pretty accurate most of the times. So I follow like the Twitter account just to see kind of what's going on, since we do talk about it.
Sure.
But yeah, I guess like I don't know. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I can't believe they did that," and then you got the people that are like, "Oh yeah, that's fine." And then it's like people breaking it down because like Austin left the one time because he was real unhappy with the creative.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, but he didn't leave during the show. It was earlier in the day before the show. And I guess some people are like, well, they left during the show, so that's a bigger deal. I don't know. I don't think I care about that personally. One of the things that struck me as hilarious was that WWE was like, we're sorry that we're not going to be able to deliver the advertised match that we had.
Yeah.
It's like, are you kidding? Do you know how often that happens?
Yeah.
Like, I've literally seen... I'd have to go back and find the show, but it was like, up next, whatever match it was. And then that match never happened on the show.
Now, if you were a wrestler that was good, would you... I would have it in my contract. I don't want guaranteed money. Because if I don't like where this is going, I want to be able to get out of my contract instantly.
I'm going to assume that you can't get that.
But I guarantee you, like a Cody Rhodes or a Roman Reigns could have got it if they wanted it.
I don't know if they could. Like,
I wouldn't sign it. I mean, now granted, if you're just a nobody, I mean, you have to go with what you got to go with. But if you're a big wrestler, like for example, like MJF, it keeps hinting that he's going to go. I'd be like, I want a contract where I don't want guaranteed money. That way, if I don't like the way this is going, I won't be able to just jump, just get out of here.
Or like every 6 months, you have an option to terminate.
Yeah, 6 months, 3 months, whatever. Yeah, I would never sign a contract.
I mean, I would definitely like if suddenly I was like in like MJF or Wardlow or some of those guys where it's like, oh, they're a big deal that would be a good get. Yeah, I would definitely like going.
I would not. I would trust me.
Going to WWE. I would absolutely try to get probably like a 6 month, like every 6 months. I have the option to terminate.
Yeah.
And like however you work it out, like maybe it's like at the 6 month point, like, okay, this is not working, I'm done, and then you have 3 more months that they can use you.
Sure.
Like, so instead of you having a no compete, it's like a reverse kind of where they can finish it out or have you put somebody over on the way out or something and just end it. I'm sure there's a way they could structure that where like the longer you actually stay on it, the better. But
you would just sign it like like an NFL contract.
Yeah.
Like if you get a certain amount of, I don't know how you would do it in wrestling since everything's fake, but
merchandise sales probably.
Merchandise sales or whatever.
Or your segments based on ratings or something, which would be scary because like no matter what, ratings are going down overall slowly for everyone because Nielsen is not probably the best way to judge stuff anymore.
Well, especially the way people view stuff, yeah.
Yeah, because, like, I watched Rampage, sort of, but not when it came on at 2 in the morning on Thursday or whenever it came on.
Yeah.
Let's see. But, yeah, so, like, do you think it's, like, the worst thing in the world that Sasha and Naomi left the show? Or are you more in the camp of, well, if it was something they thought was really dumb, people always talk about, oh, you got to stand up for yourself. And then someone stood up for themselves.
Yeah.
And then people are like, well, not like that.
I'm in the camp of, obviously, Sasha is not very happy with WWE in a whole.
Right.
She did it like a year ago, didn't she?
There was supposedly this thing about her and Bayley crying on the floor, and I think it turned out that wasn't true.
Okay.
But even then, like, I assumed, like, that was an exaggeration of some kind.
Okay.
But,
okay. So how do we not know this is an exaggeration then? You know?
There's a lot more corroboration in people that have talked about it.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, like, WWE came out and made a statement about how they felt unsafe with some of their fellow performers, which doesn't make any sense. It's like
why would you put that out there?
Well, I mean, they put it out there to discredit Sasha and Naomi would be the thought. Like when they talked about like Keith Lee being difficult to work with.
Yeah.
Things like that. Which you could say, be like, oh, well, Keith Lee, we had this awful gimmick. But they would never say that it was an awful gimmick, but he could see that it was awful. And he refused to do it. He was being really difficult about it. Turns out they wanted him to be Duke the Dumpster Drozy for the year 2022, and he saw that that was literally garbage. And didn't want, I'm making that up, but I'm saying, like, from their perspective, they could legitimately...
Is that real?
Yeah.
Because I 100% believe that could be real.
Right. But so from their perspective, they could say, oh, we found him difficult to work with based on things like that, where it's like, well, you're giving him like the worst idea ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to like that and push back if he's smart, kind of thing. So
it makes you kind of wonder, like, in AEW, is that what he wants in AEW? Because AEW, he's kind of meh.
I saw someone going over his role currently there.
Yeah.
Because him and Swerve were like a tag team before, and they
so it's not out of the blue then, right?
No, they've worked together before.
Okay.
But I mean, I didn't know that, but they did seem to like kind of work together. Like, I don't know if they were like 100% like tag team all the time, but I know they worked as a tag team on occasion.
Well, I know those jobbers this past week did not help them look smooth because they look kind of terrible as a tag team, in my personal opinion.
They definitely have. I mean, they have like the different styles, kind of like Starks and Hobbs. But yeah, if they haven't done it in a while or whatever,
they're definitely better than Dino and
Jungle
Lad there.
Jungle Toast.
Jungle Toast.
Or Jungle Bread, I believe.
Jungle Bread.
Didn't you say like toast has too much texture?
Yes.
For the comparison.
Yes. Jungle white bread.
But yeah, so they've worked together some before. And then they were like, well, also Keith Lee is still like trying to get back to full power, so to say.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, he even mentioned, like, after his first match in, like, one of the interviews he did where he was like, it takes a little bit of time to get ring shape back when you haven't done it for so long.
Sure.
But I mean, like, they're not doing anything great, but it seems like they're being used. I feel like they're going to go with Starks and Hobbs currently.
Yeah, I would.
Now, I'm super biased and hopeful on that more than anything, because I would like them to, have the tag belts. I think that'd be great.
I'm for anybody getting the tag belts, so it don't matter. There's a different cleanse the palate.
It's unfortunate because, like, Jungle Express or Jurassic Express, rather. I mean, their matches are pretty good.
Yeah. But
there's just not a lot there, and I mean, we're all just waiting on Christian to turn on Jungle Boy. So.
Well, and do you think like Tony, being a nice guy, I guess, he puts a belt on somebody and he's just like, "Ooh, you are not a good champion," and he just quietly doesn't really do a lot with them on TV.
I don't know if it's that or if much
WWE,
like some
WWE would just take the belt off you. That's
Well, but if you just start taking the belt off, like people are like, look at the TNT title, where it's been hot shot around a little bit. Like the Cody thing obviously didn't help that, but it's kind of like part of it is logical that it's going back and forth between the same people who are feuding and stuff, but at the same time it's like, okay, this is too much. So there's a part where it's like, well, this isn't the best title reign that I was hoping for, but it's not awful. I'd rather them hold on to the belts for a little while just so they're trying to keep the belt's value as high as possible, I think.
Yeah.
Without like a bunch of title changes. And it could be much like some wrestlers are better chasing or some are better holding it. Tony might just be better at booking the chase.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be like maybe Hangman's not, like using him as the example, like maybe he's not super vocal about what he wants, whereas someone like Kenny or Moxley are going to be like, no, this is what we're doing. I'm doing this. Like, they're super involved. Or who knows? Maybe Hangman was like, well, I never actually thought I'd get here. I hadn't thought what I would do once I had a belt, and then next time he gets one, it'll be different.
So, I mean, let's look at the champions. I mean, you had look at all the history of the champions in AEW.
Yeah,
Young Bucks made the belt seem something. FTR made it seem something. Brody Lee made the belt seem like it's something. Miro.
Yeah.
All the world champions have made it seem something except for Hangman. It just, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, expect like world title specifically. Like, I mean, it's also I think, and it's what people do, but like he's being compared to like industry veterans that are way more experienced than him. So, I kind of have to agree. I think his matches have been great, and there's been flashes of really good stuff, but I think most likely we're going to get his best work with Punk, and then he's going to lose it, which is fine.
Well, I don't know, man. It's just like, as a drunk, I mean, can you only play a drunk cowboy and make him interesting? You know, I don't know. It's just...
He's currently, to me, he's definitely the bad guy in this whole thing right now. And I'm more interested in that, honestly. I didn't think I would be.
Yeah. Yeah. So we can talk about AEW, but yeah, the upcoming pay-per-view is the only thing I'm excited about seeing is Wardlow and which I never thought I would be excited about Wardlow and MJF, but and then CM Punk. So
they've done a lot with it. I'll be curious. There's a few matches that will be fine, but yeah, Hangman and Wardlow and Punk and MJF are like the big takeaways, I think. So,
sure.
All right, so we had Joe against Johnny Elite kicked off the show.
Yeah, I forgot about this. Yeah,
I love that he did in fact go with Johnny Elite because he kind of has to. Like, how many like trademarks do you think that dude has? Like, is he keeping what's his name? Anthony Dawkins, the gimmick attorney guy?
Who knows?
Is he keeping that dude busy with like, well, I'm going to also need Johnny Honor for Ring of Honor in case I go there.
Yeah.
There's a small federation in Ohio, Heartland. So I need Johnny Heartland just in case.
What was his name in WWE? I know he had a stupid drip. But...
Well, he's yes, in the moist whatever. Well, he started out as Johnny Nitro because he was Bischoff's dude, and then he switched to John Morrison.
Okay.
Which was not as good.
So he was no Johnny Rawl or anything like that?
I think the timeline was he had been going by like Johnny Nitro, which I thought was a good thing. but then he fought Punk for like that ECW title the same night because the whole Benoit thing happened. And the theory at the time is they changed his name because they did not want him to suffer from just being associated with that night, with that name, like winning the belt or something.
What?
I don't know if that was true. I just remember that was one of the big things at the time that people thought was why they changed his name.
100% believe WWE did that. I'm just
yeah. I mean, if that was, I thought Johnny Nitro was a good name, and the more likely thing is they're like, we're going to give you this belt and we're going to get you away from the Nitro name because we didn't make that. Hence why they didn't do Johnny Extreme.
Sure.
Although that wasn't a thing yet at that time, so I'm sure if it was different. But either way, like some crazy stuff with this. Joe wins.
He didn't look crisp in the ring.
Johnny Elite?
Yes. Johnny Elite did not look.
I'm trying to think of how to say this. I have never thought he looks crisp in the ring, personally.
Okay.
Because, like, he'll do, like, the Starship Pain, or whatever they call it now, like the split leg twisting thing. I don't know if I've ever seen him actually hit that on somebody correctly. Like, I've always thought that was his worst move.
Gotcha.
And honestly, like, he's someone who should 100% have just been using a super kick as their finisher.
Gotcha.
Like, he has the look for it, if that makes any sense. Like, he looks like a guy that would do a super kick. And, I mean, he can do all kinds of, like, flippy stuff. But, he changed his style up a little bit, kind of like Sydal did, where he added some, like, other wrestling. But he looked like $1 million, but I just never
been a fan of him, huh?
Well, it's one of those. It's good to see him, but it seems like, especially WWE never gave him a break at all. Like, they brought him back and made it kind of a big deal, and then he teamed up with Miz, and then Miz turned on him again and beat like dude. Like, I'm sure he was happy for the money, but
he was Johnny Drip there for a little bit, so don't forget about that. He used a squirt gun.
Moist. Yeah. So Joe gets beat up afterwards. They hit him with a steel pipe, not a lead pipe. That's dangerous. Lead poisoning. Yes. Steel pipe. They want him to still be able to hold on to dishes when he's at home, with not worried about lead poisoning.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that is going to be Joe's out for losing.
Oh, like, losing the
next
thing?
round, yeah. That would be my guess, but
I don't think Joe will win the champion.
Right.
Whatever it's going to be.
I mean, he's also a champion for Ring of Honor, so I can see where you do the thing where Jay Lethal kind of screwed him out of the tournament, and then that furthers their thing and kind of keeps him protected a little bit.
Yeah.
So we got like backstage Hardy's Bucks segment. Jeff Hardy is the most uncharismatic. Like, he's a charismatic person, but when he talks, especially backstage, it's like he just read it off a note card to me.
He's always been kind of like that, though. He's just kind of like,
I mean, now when he's like, when he does in-ring stuff, I find that much smoother. If that makes any sense, like, because there's a lot of people who their backstage stuff is really good, and then they get in the ring, and I think his backstage is worse than his in-ring.
The Hardy Boys are should be a prime example to Sammy and Darby. You need to tone it down a little bit on what you're doing, because look at the Hardys.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, it's surprising the Hardys move as well as they do with all the crazy stuff they did.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but you could tell they're damaged. They're damaged goods.
Well, yeah, there was one of the theories going around is like they kind of, I don't know if hot shotted is correct, but the Jeff and Darby match, they kind of got to that as quick as they could just to be like, we don't got a lot of time with these guys. And same with the Bucks match, is where it's like, we better do this now because it's going to get worse every day we wait.
Could be. Yep.
And then So I was very surprised by this one. Hangman and Takeshita with Punk on commentary.
I was kind of rooting for what's his face there too, to kind of win.
Well, you hate Hangman now, so. But had you ever seen this? Like, I mean, honestly, like I kind of wanted him to win by the end too. So, have you ever seen this guy before?
I've never seen him before, and that's what I'm saying. The way he was wrestling was like, this guy is more. Has shown me more characteristic, more of a character than Hangman has in his entire run.
Yeah.
Without
saying a word.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, I mean, he was really good. His selling was amazing because I thought he got dropped on his head by the tombstone.
Yeah.
Because he was selling like the arm and all that stuff, and I was like, I couldn't figure. I was like, I can't imagine Hangman would drop somebody on their head. Like, he doesn't seem like that kind of careless. Them catching a boot to the face for real, yes, I could absolutely see that. But, like, I mean, even
I'm
with...
assuming, is he a New Japan guy?
DDT, actually. You know, the one that Jim Cornette hates because Kenny Omega was there.
Yes, yeah.
So they are awful.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, this match, like, at first I thought it was going to be like an enhancement match for Hangman.
Yeah.
And then it was like, are they going to have Hangman, like, screw around pointing at Punk and actually get beat?
It would have been a different. I'm like, well, okay, that's weird.
Yeah, like, I did not expect that. I mean,
I think Tony should actually book more stuff like that to make it like, especially because he's an NFL guy.
Yeah,
stuff like that happens all the time in the NFL. Like teams that you did not expect to win. I don't know.
I think the difference with that though is fans kind of expect it and then move on. Wrestling fans would be like, "You ruined him. It's over forever." And then they'll never let it go. So he knows that you got to be careful with that.
Sure.
Would be my guess, because you can see like they just buried Hangman. But like, no, he got beat because he was jaw-jacking with Punk on commentary for no reason.
That's what I'm saying. You would have to do a good job setting the story up, and then if that happens, be like, oh, okay. Yeah,
I mean, they definitely were going that route. I thought like it felt like that a couple times, and maybe that's what they wanted was. We're going to make you think that maybe it'll happen, and that's enough.
Yeah. Sure.
But yeah, this Takeshita, I hope I'm saying that right, but he did quite the showing. Like, people after this match were going nuts, like, oh my God, I need to see more of this guy's stuff.
Well, he reminds me of, this is style, reminds me of, like, old type wrestling style. So.
Yeah. Well, and he did like the vaulting press from the ropes to the outside, where he actually did like a handstand on the rope or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I've ever seen anyone, or he did not realize that they were cables and not ropes or something. It was like, whoa, that was a little more. I thought he broke Hangman's nose with his fist coming down on that.
Yeah.
And then, they dropped each other on their neck a couple times because that's what you do. When you fight Hangman and you're from Japan, I guess. I don't know. And then towards the end, like Hangman finally gets the win, but he goes buckshot into the GTS. And Punk mentions, which I feel like they didn't emphasize it as much as they were hoping, but the I've got him right where I want him kind of thing, where like he's in Hangman's head and he knows it. He also made reference to, I assume it was to Kenta probably not being happy that Hangman is also using the GTS. He's like, I love it. Some people really don't care for it. Now, I do wonder if Hangman now owes Danhausen money for using the move. Because Punk has to pay Danhausen off every so often to continue using the GTS.
Yeah.
But he is paid up till the pay-per-view. So...
it just the whole build between Hangman and Punk. It's just I don't know. It's I don't understand why Hangman is so angry with Punk. There's like no build up. You know what I'm saying?
There's definitely a missing piece.
Yeah.
Because like we can come up with things like as far as like just speculating, but there's
or
not
maybe
like
or is it that we're just so used to long term story building with Hangman that we're just like, well, this doesn't make sense. It didn't take a year to build this story up. You know what I'm saying?
I'm wondering if we're gonna get it after the fact.
Yeah.
Like if his intention is, I missed a week because of COVID, and I'm going to come back with a completely different attitude. I'll tell you what it probably was, is that air conditioner repair guy stole his candy bar, and then
he tweeted about that, and I guess he found it.
Yeah, but from a further tweet, his air conditioning wasn't working. So not only like, I mean, that could have changed his whole outlook on wrestling. Which honestly, as ridiculous as that would be a better explanation than we've gotten so far.
What you do is CM Punk is the reason why his air conditioner wasn't working.
That'd be hilarious. Yeah, he has like a video where Punk dresses up as the Repo Man or something.
Yes. It all was downhill after that.
Oh man, that would be fantastic. I could see him running around as Repo Man for like Halloween or something.
Sure.
So we move on from that, but I'm assuming they're going to have a physical altercation next week, where they start throwing punches. You think, or do you think they're actually going to like not touch going into the
just continue
the match?
to look at each other?
Yeah.
I'm mad. I don't know.
I feel like Hangman's going to cheap shot Punk.
Something.
I think that's the way to go.
Something to make me say, "Oh, okay."
Or since Hangman's been like the bad guy aggressor, maybe Punk actually takes the cheap shot to kind of switch up fan leaning, where it's like, oh, wait a minute.
No, I don't want that. No.
Yeah, you don't want them to try to intentionally split the crowd.
No, I want them to boo Hangman out. Let him learn. I got to get a better character.
Yeah. I will.
You'll learn nothing, Ross. You won't learn nothing unless people show you you're wrong.
I suppose that's the way to do it. From there, we got Keith Lee and Swerve against the Workhorsemen, which is, I don't hate the name, but it's a weird name.
Yeah, it's too much to say.
It having horsemen in it in the world of wrestling, is, you can't give yourself, and maybe they didn't, but it feels like a self-bestowed name. Like, it's one thing if you're coming out and JR is like, this guy or these guys are a workhorse team. Like, they can say it without that being your name. But
it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird the people that own the Horseman name.
Yes. No, there's a lot of weird about this. I mean, I really like JD Drake. I think he's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, so regardless, Lee and Strickland.
Regardless, they
shocking.
made Keith Lee and Swerve look kind of sloppy. They did not do their job as jobbers.
Yeah, as the enhancement guys.
So either it was their fault or Keith Lee and Swerve to suck. I don't know which one it is, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it just didn't work out.
Weren't their dance partners.
Now, our end result, though, we're going to get like a triple threat, I guess, for the FTW title.
Yes.
Hopefully somebody wins it, so that means Starks and Hobbs do get the tag belts. Sure. And then Hook can go on the quest to reclaim the FTW title from somebody.
Yeah, you know that has to happen eventually.
At this point, I am convinced that the only reason the FTW belt exists is for Hook to get it back. To give him like a quest, basically.
Yeah.
Like, here's your quest, and you'll get something new. And midway through the quest, you pick up a Danhausen. Start bludgeoning people with him.
Kind of like Jim Cornette said. I don't understand what you're doing with Hook, putting him with a clown.
I don't know either, but I'm still. I mean, it hasn't ruined Hook for me. It's just one of those. It's a weird pairing.
Yeah.
I honestly think that it's more to help Danhausen. Like, Hook doesn't really need any help at the moment, and
but it's so dangerous to hurt a character. You know what I'm saying?
You're definitely walking a fine line.
Yeah.
Although, basically, if Hook never talks, he can't be hurt. If all of a sudden he starts talking weird, he's in a bad way. But I feel like that so far they're doing it right.
So you want Danhausen to be Hook's herald, as that what you're saying?
I mean, I'd be okay with that. Yeah, if he plays like the Silver Surfer to Galactus.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
What I'm predicting in this tag match, though, that they're going to have with Nice and Smart Mark is Hook is going to do the curse thing, and Danhausen is going to pin Smart Mark Sterling. Like they'll switch it around.
Since you went with Galactus and Silver Surfer, it more feels like Galactus picked Squirrel Girl to be his herald, and you know what I'm saying? It's not much of a threat.
Well, I mean, if we're being honest, who you think's winning in a fight, Hook or Galactus? I'm taking Hook. He doesn't really need a strong herald.
This is true.
All right, so we got to the best of Cody Rhodes segment, which it is nice that like MJF somehow tried to blame what was done to Cody on Wardlow, to make him relive it. Do you think if someone with MJF or Sean Spears build hit you with a belt as hard as they could, that you'd be able to no-sell it like that 9 times?
No. Well, no, 8 times. The other one, I think Sean actually went a little too high.
A little over the trap on the collarbone?
I think he was like, "Oh, why did you do that? That stung."
Yeah, like the other ones.
But regardless, yeah.
Because I mean, he just stood there and took, like, it didn't even look like he winced. And I think I could probably take one standing, but I'd do the thing where, like, you know, you straighten up real big and like your arms come up.
Yeah.
With like clenched fist. There's no way I'm just standing there with the hands in front of me, like, laughing.
Well, you could tell he was psyching himself up.
Yeah.
For it. But even then, I mean, it was impressive that he did not flinch.
You think they had like a backup for that? Like, all right, the intent is you're going to no-sell pretty much all of them. And then someone was like, what if it really hurts and he can't? Like, at least no-sell the first one.
Well, if you couldn't sell it, then I think you would just do what Tommy Dreamer did in ECW. You know, think you can have another type thing.
Yeah, like sell it and then like just get right back to it as quick as possible. I mean, the key was the first one.
Yeah.
Like, while MJF is strutting around and then Wardlow just stands there and then you get the reaction. After that, it wouldn't have been so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe on that first one he held back just a little bit just to make sure it was easy. And then after that, it's like, all right, it's going to have to leave some marks. But
the ones where MJF was going like a madman, I don't know how he didn't flinch.
Yeah, like, I never would have thought, like, when Cody did it, and they did, like, the 10 to, like, that was a much longer, drawn-out segment. But it was entertaining. This was also entertaining. I wonder, is 10 Lashes going to be... 10 Lashes and a Gauntlet is going to become his thing now? Because that was about as entertaining as you could make 10 Lashes, I guess.
Yeah, but let's not do it too much. I mean, you're like
break it out maybe once every 2 years.
I have not checked this out, but Cornette said, as far as gimmick matches, AEW has a ridiculous amount of gimmick matches just in 2022.
I remember seeing something about that, but it doesn't really feel that way to me. Like WWE will literally have a premium live event that is nothing but a type of match sometimes.
Sure.
I mean, like, compared to his style where like you did like one gimmick a year, yes, they've had a ton, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But they're I mean, and most of their stuff is basically like a no DQ match. Like which I don't even know if current day I count like no DQ, like hardcore match. Like it almost doesn't register as a gimmick match to me.
Yeah.
So, let's see here. Yeah, so Shawn Spears is going to be fighting Wardlow in the cage. Interesting. We got Rey Fenix and Kyle O'Reilly. I really wasn't sure who was going to win this. Kyle winning is fine, I suppose.
I mean, I really don't know where they're going with this Owen Hart thing. I don't.
I'm wondering, because they were talking about it, I wonder if Kyle and Adam, sounds funny to say it that way, Kyle and Adam, are going to actually be in the finals. Because there was, before they left NXT, those two were feuding. And that's what, like, Adam Cole signed that extension for, was to finish that up and put him over.
So, I mean, are they like...
And they acknowledged that when Kyle O'Reilly showed up, that they weren't sure that they were on the best terms. So, like, they're literally carrying over another company's story and finishing it, possibly.
Yeah, but... So I mean, like, okay, Kenny's not gonna be back for a while. Let's just get rid of the whole elite thing. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the plan is, but so we got like a good old sports entertainment promo here with the Wizard.
Yeah, the Wizard,
the daddy of magic.
Yeah.
Like, I thought this was really good. Like, I was like, I kind of don't even want to watch this segment, and then I thought it was real good. So
yeah, a lot of people had a problem with Jericho. This one, I read this one comment on Twitter, like, "How dare Jericho mention Moxley's issues in the past?" And everyone's like, "You do know, Moxley probably told him, yeah, go ahead, do that."
Yeah, like, if you want to do that, or hey, is that off limits to you? Like,
yeah,
it's a. I don't think people realize that there's probably like conversations backstage, like, because
it's not real people.
As you have found out, there are people who believe some wrestling is absolutely real still, which is baffling. But yeah, so it is nice because Jericho brought up peeing in Regal's tea the one time. And then
I vaguely remember that storyline.
I only remember it because I believe after he took a sip of the tea, he was like, "I believe I've been besmirched." And then I think that was one of his Raw deal cards, was besmirched or whatever. And it was like a pretty good card. But yeah, he just runs everybody down and trying to sow like seeds of dissension between Kingston and Danielson. Regal also points out that he has been shoving a toothbrush up his butt for 20 years. And then Jericho was going to try to challenge them to a stadium stampede, and Moxley was like, "Nope, that is not what is going to happen." So,
well, because I thought at first, I was like, really? Because I thought I read somewhere Tony Khan's like, it'll probably never happen again.
Yeah.
Just because the era that we were in with the pandemic and everything, it was like easier to get a stadium. Yeah. And then I was like, are they going to do another stadium stampede? And
in an arena? No. But yeah, so now we're going to get arena anarchy. So I'm assuming that's just going to be like they can go all over the arena fighting, like, which is what you would expect anyway.
I thought they were going to do a whole new blood and guts match, but I guess not.
Yeah, I mean it's partway warranted, but maybe they don't want Jericho to just be in two of those in a row.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could absolutely see that. But yeah, so that's set up. They got dissension within, well, basically because of Kingston. Like, he just messes everything up for everybody, I tell you.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what everyone else thinks, and then it's really, I think, the other person is the problem more often than not. But all right, Britt Baker and Maki Ito is the Joker.
Or Owen Hart.
I mean, she didn't win, so
it doesn't matter. The fact that you put this character in the Owen Hart,
people love Maki Ito.
I don't know why. That's all I'm saying. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I'm entertained, but not really. Like, I'm indifferent to it. If she would have beat Britt, I'd probably have a stronger opinion about it. But for just like someone that's kind of like a foreign star showing up, I think that's fine. Like, some exposure, and again, people were into it, so.
I mean, so is the character in New Japan or wherever she's from? I don't know where she's from. Is she just a comic act, a comedy act?
I think it leans closer to comedy, but
because
I think she was a singer, or she was in like a band kind of deal, like a group, and then she wanted to be a wrestler, and that's why I like the singing, and I guess she was accused of being very hard-headed, like as far as like working with or something. I can't remember what it was, but something about that is why she does like the Samoan headbutt kind of stuff. Is like a play on like criticisms that she had from being in the music group, I think.
Gotcha.
I might be off, but that's like the general.
Well, it's even more amazing that she was a pop star because she can't sing.
I'm assuming she, much like Jillian Hall did, I'm assuming she's purposely singing bad.
Gotcha.
Because, I mean, she was literally just screaming at the microphone like she was Pat McAfee.
Yes.
Let's see. Serena Deeb comes out and does Serena Deeb stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. She's one of those people, like, she's fine when she talks, but I'm more interested in her matches. So, yeah. And then...
So the problem I had with the whole Serena Deeb's thing is it's like just ranting and raving about Dustin, I guess. I guess Dustin is a replacement for all the old wrestlers.
Well, I mean, he also is like big on Thunder Rosa, like.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's part of that. Is like she's just mad at anyone associated with Thunder Rosa.
Okay.
Which it's interesting because she had the same effect on Britt Baker. Maybe Thunder Rosa's the problem.
Yeah.
Maybe her and Eddie Kingston should hang out.
See, Thunder Rosa's whole championship, I expected more out of her.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
It just seemed weird. I don't.
I honestly thought she would be like the give her a match every week.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Unless maybe she got injured or something. I don't know. Like something would explain it, but.
Yeah. Maybe she just doesn't have good dance partners yet. I guess.
I mean, that could be part of it. It could also be where.
Because her match with Britt Baker wasn't that good.
Yeah, I mean they had a lot of, or they had like those couple matches that they had to follow up. Yeah. And it's like, it's gonna be hard.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, hopefully after the pay-per-view, whatever they do with it, like we get somebody who's out there wrestling weekly with it, because I think that would help.
Yeah.
Adam Cole and Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know if I watched this match. Like, if that makes any sense. Like, I can't remember if I watched it, but I know what happened.
It wasn't. This wasn't stellar to me, in my opinion. I'm just like, okay, okay, they had something.
And then you get like the crazy insanity at the end of this thing. Young Bucks and poor Sting getting beat up.
Yeah, I don't know the whole play. I don't know why you take out Sting, other than just be bad guys, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it is. So
yeah.
But yeah, and then let me see here. But yeah, so you're getting Bucks and Hardys. Let me check something out here because I did watch Rampage this morning. Sort of.
Rampage, baby.
Like, really, what the big thing is Sammy destroying the TNT title.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I think that's probably the biggest thing on the show.
So he destroyed it on the show.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was on Rampage, or I was watching it and somehow I got a YouTube clip of it from somewhere. But yeah,
gotcha.
Frankie Kazarian was hanging out with him for some reason, so they took like the sledgehammer to it, which shows you how tough Mr. Perfect was. He only needed a small hammer to destroy a title belt, Nowadays, they're so reinforced you need a 16-pound sledgehammer. And that's just to get the logo off.
Like, to be fair, Tony's belts look like they are heavy. So.
Yeah. Someone said the AEW title belt is like 35 pounds.
Yeah, it looks like Tony...
Which explains why I think it was like Kenny hit somebody with it and it looked like it busted them open for real. It's probably because they got hit in the head with a 35-pound weight.
Yeah. So, yeah.
They spare no expense.
It's actually the one championship belt when you hit somebody with it. It's like hitting them with a rock.
Yeah. Well, because I've held like the replicas of the WWE belt.
Yeah.
And they're heavy, but it's like maybe 10 pounds. Maybe.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, like, it's definitely not not like the big gold belt from Flair or even the NWA belt. So, but yeah, I think the AEW belt has to be the heaviest belt.
It's like someone told Tony, now I don't know if the belts are made out of this, but they're like, normally we make these out of aluminum, make them a little bit lighter. No, I want steel.
Yeah. Or do you have spent uranium?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, the big gold belt is one of the heaviest ones. Yeah, I'll have to look that up for next week and see if I can find out. But I assume that AEW belt might be the heaviest one because it's so thick.
Sure.
But yeah, there was like other stuff on this show. Fuego del Sol died again, which was good. And then Bryan Danielson got stuck between the ring, which nobody knows if that was an actual accident or if he just enjoys lying and that's his sense of humor.
It's a shame that the House of Black has lost their favor in AEW.
I think it's because they got involved in something that. So think of the people who have been involved with Death Triangle. Because Phoenix got hurt and Pac has to disappear due to visa and other countries and all that stuff. Yeah. So once you're involved with them, your story is very stop-start.
I feel like when Pac's contract is coming to an end, I don't think he's going to be in AEW anymore.
It seems like it's quite the hassle.
Yeah.
It seems like also he'd be the kind of guy that you could just have show up as like the Joker in something. Occasionally, like because he's excellent, but it's like whatever's going on, it's super hard for him to be here consistently. It feels like, So I mean, and there could be who knows, like there could be family reasons, like where he's wanting to spend a lot of time back at home, or whatever. But yeah, it definitely like kind of derails stuff, and like Phoenix getting hurt obviously was not planned either, so. Sure. Hopefully they finish it up at the pay-per-view and they can move on to something
better,
something more consistent.
I think personally the whole House of Black. I think Malachi Black by himself was better.
I do kind of agree with that.
No.
At least though, I will say he's still very formidable.
Sure.
Like they didn't turn him like he's not hiding behind his dudes. Basically, which is again, you got 20 years of being conditioned. Things work a certain way, so when it's different, it's really not like that fresh of an idea, but it sure feels like it.
Why is WWE the only federation that's been able to pull off spooky characters?
So here's my guess.
And when I say characters, Undertaker is the only one that's been successful.
I think because Undertaker came along at the right time.
Yeah.
For me, when I was little, Undertaker sitting up and no selling stuff because he was like so powerful or whatever.
Yeah.
Was the coolest thing ever, because you'd only ever seen Hogan do that really.
That's true. Yeah.
So it was like, oh, he's the evil Hogan.
Yeah.
And then like. He turned good guy, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. And like the first thing they did with him was that Berserker feud where Berserker tombstoned him on the concrete and tried to stab him with the sword, and Undertaker still sat up. And I was like, this is amazing. And I think from there, like Undertaker was just, he was so cool that people were willing to suspend disbelief. Like,
now I understand Kane was associated with Undertaker, but we did it with Kane too, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean it's because he was
until
tied
they made him
to
a comedy act.
Well,
but...
if they would have let Bray Wyatt beat Undertaker at that WrestleMania, it might have been okay. And also they took when Bray Wyatt started doing the Fiend.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, was that a mess? Because, like, the first thing they did was, like, Seth Rollins curb stomped him, like, 11 times or 8 times or something crazy. And beat him with a mallet. And then they ended the match, even though it was a Hell in the Cell match. Like, they basically... I don't know that they killed it, but they definitely changed the trajectory of that. Like, it would have been one thing if he, like, took a stomp, he kicked out. Took another stomp, he kicked out.
Sure.
Maybe even 3, and then he goes for the last one and he catches him in the like the Sister Abigail or whatever they were calling it for the Fiend, and then that's the match. And I actually let the Fiend win because the next thing they let the Fiend beat him. So why not do it at that Hell in the Cell and not make it so crazy where the crowd's like, okay, this is just ridiculous. It's like, so this dude kicked out of all this stuff, and how are you going to beat him? And then Goldberg spears him and jackhammers him. It's like...
Well, yeah, I mean... Cause
where people were trying to come up with, like... One of the fan theories I saw at the time, and it was the only thing that made sense, is, like, the Fiend was targeting people that had been problems for Bray Wyatt. And since Goldberg... Goldberg never had interactions with Bray, so the Fiend had no power.
Which is fine, but, like you said, WWE did not give any light to that origin story at all.
No, they started him at like Super Saiyan God.
Yes.
And then it was just there's nothing you could do.
Yeah. Well, and then the Fiend started getting popular again. I mean, well, I should say the Fiend. I started getting into the Fiend, and then they put him with Alexa Bliss, and that whole weird thing. I was like, okay.
That seemed like at the start, it was almost like, okay, let's see where this goes. The old let it play out, and then it was like, you guys didn't have an end game at all, did you?
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, it's obvious. Be like, I've seen Lost. I know how this works. You guys have no idea what you're doing next.
Yeah.
And you're just winging it, and it's really not good.
I watched the new Star Wars. I know where this is going.
Like, you're gonna draw me in a little bit. And then you're just going to be like, oh, we didn't like that, instead of that is my assumption. I do not know. Hopefully one day Alexa Bliss will do an interview after her wrestling career, or if she ever leaves WWE, and be like, oh, they had, this was actually the plan. And then be like, yeah, it wasn't the best plan, but that actually was like a long-term plan. Or, oh, they had no idea what they were doing.
There was reports that she was upset with WWE, so.
Yeah, I mean... she sat at home for a long time, and it seemed like she wanted to wrestle, and they had nothing for her. And I mean, to me, it is weird that you couldn't find something for her to do.
Well, it's funny because I saw Cody Rhodes said, he's having a great time with WWE. I'm thinking, well, yeah, they're using you.
Yeah, when you're booked well, it changes how things are.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been times where Sasha's been very happy.
Sure.
So, but it's like you fall out of favor or Vince gets bored, and then who knows what'll happen. So, all right. I'm going to say we should probably call it here.
Call it.
Unless you have something real important to talk about.
Real important?
No, or super interesting?
No, I don't think so.
Because it's like all I've really done, like I haven't watched a lot of TV of any kind, but I've played like the normal games that I play. Like I've been Hearthstone, Vampire Survivors, and then some the Warcraft Classic stuff.
I am going to go see Top Gun 2 next week.
So are you expecting a hit, or just sad that you spent your time in the theater?
I don't know, because Top Gun, I've seen it so much as a kid.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think how I felt when I first watched it, because now I'm just like, Top Gun. Because I've seen it so much,
I think I've seen half of Top Gun.
Really?
And then
it was
I rode
on so much as a kid. I mean, like as TV, there was the only thing that was on was Top Gun. It seemed like.
You gotta figure there's a lot of times where on days that would have been on, I was trying to escape the house. So
gotcha. I was out trying to break my neck on a skateboard.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I was doing. So
yes,
I think that's probably why there's like a lot of like people our age, like the 40 range, where it's like Goonies and movies like that, where I just not my thing because
Goonies is terrible, but yes.
Yeah, I think so, but I saw it when I was way older, and it was like so obvious like what the plot was to it. Or if I saw it when I was younger, I sure don't remember it.
Now, I have only seen E.T., like half the movie of E.T. once.
I just don't like E.T. I don't think it's good.
Someone's
like throwing their podcast device across a room right now.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, E.T., I could never get into it. I'm just like, I don't understand why people like this movie. It's just kind of dumb.
The kids make me mad in it because they basically caused all the problem.
See, now Flight of the Navigator, I like that, and I mean, Star was a kid, so I don't know.
Right, but I'm saying in E.T. specifically, like
yeah, I mean, okay, yeah,
like if there's a little kid that does something that's dumb when you know what's going on, it makes me mad because I feel like that's the laziest way to do it. It's like when you have like the little kid that gets kidnapped and then the entire movie goes around that. I feel like it's the laziest thing you can possibly do.
I think, well, Indiana Jones did it pretty good, but Short Round.
Yeah, because he got kidnapped, but like everyone was getting kidnapped and brainwashed.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
And it wasn't because he was an idiot. He didn't like. Indy wasn't like, hey, see that dude ripping hearts out of people? Stay away from him. And then he was like, I think you're wrong. I think he's a nice guy. And then he went up to him. And it was
This is true. This is true.
Like it was basically like you could substitute in that situation an adult character, and the same outcome happens.
Well, the funny thing is, did Indy get brainwashed?
Yes, and then Short Round actually saved him.
Yeah.
By burning him. But
yeah.
There's if you're interested, Costco currently has a signed by Harrison Ford Raiders of the Lost Ark poster for the cheap price of $1,600.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I didn't like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I love Raiders of the Lost Ark, but maybe 160. I'm not.
I like the one where he's fighting Nazis.
So
did one? Yeah, it was a joke, Ross. I hope you like. Yeah.
I was trying to think. I was like, wait, were there Nazis in Temple of Doom?
You know what? I don't think there was actually. There was no Nazis in Temple of Doom.
I'm sure someone was a German sympathizer in that camp.
I don't think there was though. I don't think there was any Nazis in Temple of Doom. I'm
sure one of those kids.
It makes me want to watch Temple of Doom now. I don't think there was.
All right, so we'll end it there, but we'll be back.
Everyone, your homework is to watch Temple of Doom and email us and tell us if Nazis are in Temple of Doom.
I mean, I'll just look it up on the internet. We'll find out. So,
well, sure.
All right, here we go.